Dear Sagittarius, do you feel as if something immense is approaching, but you can't name it? A strange sensation, as if the universe is standing right behind you and preparing to open a door that has never existed before. From July 1st to July 3rd, a powerful movement will occur in the astrological sky, and not everyone will be invited to step through. I say this with reverence, because what I'm about to reveal isn't just an astrological forecast, but a sacred warning for 3 specific zodiac signs, including Sagittarius, who now stands before the greatest turning point of 2025. If you are a Sagittarius or have Sagittarius rising, moon, or Jupiter placement, stay with me until the final moment, because a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is rushing towards you faster than you think. But this isn't an ordinary invitation. This is a summons, sent from the spirit realm, delivered to your soul through the light you carry. And if your heart just skipped a beat when hearing these words, that's no coincidence. It's a calling. Right now. Because when you write, you're not just affirming it to yourself, you are activating a current of energy that the universe reserves only for the ready. I am ready to step into something magnificent. And if this resonates deeply with you, share this video as a way to send a signal to other souls, those who are also waiting for a call to step through a door that the universe has already opened long ago, but they have yet to gather the courage to walk through. And if you're still listening now, then perhaps you're not just someone watching a video. You're a soul that has just been awakened, because what is about to be revealed, not everyone gets the chance to see. Among millions of people, only a few are chosen to receive such distinct signs from the universe. Not because they are better, but because they're tuned to the right frequency to receive what's arriving. So how do you know if you are one of those people? Listen closely, because what you think is coincidence may actually be a message from an invisible world knocking quietly on the door of your destiny. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night while the rest of the world is still asleep and your soul somehow is wide awake? No dreams, no sound, just a stillness so deep that you feel as if you've just stepped out of a door that doesn't belong to this world. Maybe you've seen that number, 333, repeating so often it starts to unsettle you, or someone you thought about yesterday suddenly appears today. A song from the past starts playing somewhere you've never heard it before. A symbol, a phrase, a name keeps coming back, as if calling. You might think it's all random, but it's not. Nothing is truly random when your soul starts to awaken. When one door closes from the outside, another begins to open, quietly, from within. And when that happens, everything familiar begins to feel foreign. No one around you understands what you're feeling. You can't name it either. You only know you're no longer who you were yesterday. A small shift inside you is beginning, silent, patient, but strong enough to throw you off the old tracks you've walked for too long. You no longer fit into old stories. You're no longer bound to places once called home. You find yourself distancing from connections without clear reasons. You become quieter, yet more understanding. You're not lost. You are shifting your frequency. What you're experiencing isn't loss, it's purification. What you're feeling isn't sadness, it's a call from a deeper layer of your soul. You may have never said it out loud, but there was a moment you sat down and told yourself, I know something is coming. You weren't imagining things, you're not crazy. You are simply returning to the purest part of who you are. And the universe is knocking, not with thunder, but with gentle repetitions. You'll hear a phrase repeated 3 times in 3 days. You'll dream the same strange dream, night after night. You'll think of someone you thought was gone, only for them to suddenly return in your mind. When a soul is ready, the first door always opens in consciousness. Your inner world begins to see the outer world through different eyes. Emotions that once brought you pain now become a language. You don't resist, you listen, you don't fight, you stay present. And in that moment you realize you no longer need anyone to validate you, because something far greater is validating you, by sending signs that are silent, yet shockingly precise. I've seen many people arrive at this moment in life. Some tremble and retreat, some cling to what is already collapsing, but then there are others, like you, who choose to listen in silence. And that's when everything begins to change. You don't need to understand everything. You only need the courage to believe this. If you're feeling different, if you're noticing signs and synchronicities, if you're being called awake in the middle of the night in silence, then it's not instability. It's an awakening. Your soul has heard the call. And now, everything is beginning to move. Can you feel it? A soft touch to your heart, as if someone just called your name with light. If you've ever felt that, leave a sign. Not for me, but for yourself. Write, I am ready to step into something magnificent. Because when you dare to write it, you are declaring to the entire universe, I have heard the call, and I do not turn away. But if those signs are leading you towards something, what is it? What is truly arriving? Why is it happening at the beginning of July? Why you? Let's go deeper together into what comes next, where destiny is no longer a distant idea, but a very real journey waiting for you to enter. Do you feel as if everything you've endured, everything you've overcome, has been guiding you to a single appointment in time? Not by chance, not by luck, but to a central point where all the paths that once crossed are now converging to bring you to the center of the map of destiny. And at the very center of that map, from July 1st to July 3rd, the name Sagittarius is etched in light. Why you? Because a great movement is taking place, a secret gathering between three ancient forces. Jupiter, the teacher of the cosmos, Uranus, the awakener of what has been buried, and the moon, the gentle heart of the night sky, the keeper of memories across lifetimes. Three seemingly silent beings whispering into the sky of July, and all at once calling out the name Sagittarius. Not because you are the strongest, but because you have learned the most. Not because you are flawless, but because you are no longer afraid of falling. There's something strange that happens to light. The brighter it shines, the more it is noticed. Not always to be loved, but to be tested. Sagittarius, you are a moving flame, and fire always makes the dark uneasy. But because of this, you become a transmitter of hope. You do not exist just to live for yourself, but to shine for those still lost in the shadows. And perhaps you've felt it, that lately, something has shifted in how the world sees you. New opportunities are knocking, unexpected invitations are appearing, big decisions are asking for your answer, right now. It's not a coincidence, Sagittarius. It's because you've been placed at the center of an invisible map, where each small step you take is sending ripples across the whole. Imagine this. You're standing on a vast cosmic map, where the stars don't just shine, they whisper secret instructions. Jupiter smiles gently, knowing you've endured enough to understand. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. It's daring to step into what you were born to become. Uranus, like lightning, is striking the fortress of your old beliefs, forcing you out of your comfort zone, into something even you never imagined yourself capable of. And the moon? The moon is weeping. But these are not tears of sorrow. They are tears of joy. Because finally you lifted your head and said to yourself, I am no longer hiding. The more honest you become, the more you will be tested. The more you love, the more you may be misunderstood. The more you live in truth, the more you may be scrutinized. But that's all right, because light has never needed permission to shine. It shines simply because it was born to do so. And you, Sagittarius, you are part of that flame. This is not just a favorable moment. This is a cosmic redirection written just for you. A new chapter is waiting to be written, with the heart that has cracked but still beats. You can choose to enter it or not. But if your heart is beating faster as you hear this, then perhaps you already know the answer. Are you ready for your next spiritual upgrade? Not through knowledge, but through courage. Not through knowing how everything will unfold, but through one first step into the unknown. If you are, write in the comments below, I step into the center of my destiny. Because when you dare to declare that, you no longer live in reaction to your circumstances. You begin to live from within, from where the light never goes out. And if the universe has placed you at the center like this, then can the old things still hold on to you anymore? Stay with me, because in the next part, you will understand. When every old door closes, it's not the end, but the beginning of a truly free journey. Sometimes endings don't knock, they don't give notice. They simply close quietly on doors you've stayed with for so long, you didn't realize you no longer belonged behind them. Maybe you used to think freedom was the ability to leave. But one day, you understand, true freedom is having stayed long enough to know you are finally ready to let go. And in that moment, something strange happens. All the old doors begin to close. Not because you failed, but because your time has expired in the old versions of yourself. The job you tried to hold on to suddenly feels rigid and without air. The home that once felt warm now feels unfamiliar and empty. The relationships you thought would walk with you forever now dissolve into broken conversations and long silences. You begin to ask yourself, what did I do wrong? But sometimes no one is at fault. It's just that your journey with them has ended. You are standing at a threshold where the things that once nourished you can no longer contain who you are becoming. And do you know what hurts the most? Not the parting itself, but the silence of all that was once familiar, now no longer responding to your soul. You stand before closed doors, and instead of rage or doubt, this time you just nod gently, because deep inside you know they were meant to close, so that a new door, one never named before, might finally have a chance to open. I want you to pause for a moment and think about something. What have you let go of? Not because you stopped loving it, but because you finally started loving yourself more. What place have you walked away from, not because you hated it, but because you knew your soul could no longer shrink just to fit inside that old shell? Write that down. Share it, not as a complaint, but as a testimony, a sacred acknowledgement of how brave you were to choose truth over familiarity, because everyone desires freedom. But not everyone has the courage to pay for it with the things they once thought they could never live without. This is not a comfortable season. This is the moment when you may feel the most empty, but also the most real. When there's nowhere left to hide, no shoulder left to lean on, and nowhere left to call safe. And yet, it is exactly at that place where everything begins. When you let go of the rusted handle of an old door, the universe gently leads you to a threshold you never knew you were worthy of crossing. Not with a loud noise, not with a grand announcement, but with a deep gentleness, when you feel yourself becoming lighter, as if the burden you've been carrying all this time never truly belonged to you. Sagittarius, you are a wanderer with a destination. You don't belong to safe places because your soul was born to seek something greater than comfort. And that's why every closure right now is not rejection. It is an invitation to step into a reality where you no longer have to shrink to fit into things that no longer serve you. An invitation to choose yourself, once and for all. What have you let go of? In order to find yourself again, if your heart is quietly whispering the answer, write it down. Because what you share today might be a tiny light, but just enough to help someone out there, someone also walking through the dark, find their way home. And if you think this is the end, stay. Because in the next part, you'll see. The past hasn't left, it is returning. Not to pull you back, but to help you close what was left unfinished. Some doors close without a sound, and some people leave without luggage, only leaving behind empty spaces. But the soul doesn't forget, and the universe forgets nothing. That is why, on the quietest days, you suddenly hear a familiar song. A passing glance catches you off guard. A hazy dream awakens an old sorrow. That person, the one who once silenced you. That person, the one who once broke you without anyone noticing. That person is now returning. But not to love again, not to apologize, not to reignite the unfinished, but to close a door you once forgot to lock. You might feel it, even before they appear. A strange energy clinging to you these past few days. A feeling of nostalgia, mixed with unease. A voice inside whispering, "It's them, again." But something is different this time. This time you are not waiting. You don't need them to answer those old questions. You don't need them to make amends, because you've changed. You no longer need the conversation to end it. You have already closed it. In silence. And that is the power they never saw coming. Sometimes the past returns not to reconnect, but to test whether you've truly moved on. It sends you a message, an image, a strange encounter, just to ask, are you still the same? And when you smile, exhale softly, that is the moment you know the lesson is complete. No need to win, no need to be right, only no longer wishing to go back. I once believed forgiveness was something we give to others, but I came to understand true forgiveness is something we return to ourselves. Forgiveness is when you stop asking, why did they do that? Was I not enough? Where did I go wrong? Forgiveness is when you look in the mirror and say to yourself, I deserve to live without carrying someone else's baggage anymore. You may never hear the apology, but you can choose to never hurt yourself again for what someone else couldn't carry. And that is forgiveness. For you. Can you forgive yourself for having loved that deeply? For having waited that long? For having lost yourself just to hold on to someone who had already let go? If you can, leave something behind, a short message, a memory, or simply a name, as a final ritual of farewell for that figure in your past. No hatred, no need to rekindle, just release. And then, when you've truly let go, you will realize what once hurt you the most was also what brought you closest to your soul. So if the past returns in the coming days, look it in the eye, not with fear but with the gaze of a soul that has walked through fire and no longer burns, because you have become light. And if the past is returning to close what was never finished, then what comes next for you? Perhaps you are standing before a door that only 3 zodiac signs have been invited to enter. Not everyone will see it, but if you're still here, there's a strong chance you're one of the 3. Would you like to keep going to discover what this truly means? Sometimes the universe doesn't send a direct invitation. It simply opens invisible doors and waits to see who is real enough with themselves to walk through. From July 1st to July 3rd, 3 doors will appear. 3 paths, 3 tests, 3 promises. But only 3 zodiac signs will feel the shift deeply. Not because they are more special, but because they are standing at the intersection between what has been known and what is now being called forth. If you are Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries, listen carefully, because the door is already open. Sagittarius, the door of destiny. You didn't choose this path, it chose you. And this time, it hasn't arrived in vague prophecies but in unmistakable turning points that can no longer be delayed. You are standing before a vast threshold, not because you are more capable than others, but because you've dared to be more honest with yourself after all that has happened. The door meant for Sagittarius is the door of destiny, a place you cannot turn back from, a place where you must choose, either live in alignment with the calling of your soul or continue playing the role of a version that no longer fits. And the most powerful part? You already know what to do, even if no one out there confirms it for you. Leo, the door of expression. For far too long, you've lived in standby mode, waiting for someone to hear you, waiting for someone to understand what you've held inside, waiting for the right time to finally speak. But that time doesn't come from anyone else. It rises from within you. The door opening for Leo is the door of expression, a place where you no longer need permission. You only need the courage to let yourself be seen. You will be invited to say something important, to tell your true story, to stop living according to scripts written for the approval of others. And if you feel yourself trembling a little, that's a good sign, because your soul is preparing to be witnessed. Aries, the door of action. You've always been the initiator, but this time you are not allowed to rush, because this isn't a race. This is a call to a choice that will shape fate. The door opening for Aries is the door of decisive action, a space where you must release your habit of delay and take the step, even if no one walks ahead to show the way. You will feel as if you're standing between 2 streams, one warm but worn and old, the other cold but clear and real. The action you take now will not only change you, it may shift the entire map for those connected to you. But there is something important. Not everyone with these zodiac signs will step through, because these doors do not open by birth date. They only open when a soul vibrates high enough, true enough, to be recognized. And sometimes what makes you chosen is not the light you carry, but the darkness you've walked through. These doors open only for those honest with themselves to the very core. You must be willing to admit, I no longer belong to the old place. I need to speak what I've kept inside. I will walk forward and not turn back. And when you dare to say that, the door will recognize your frequency, and you will walk through. No key needed, only sincerity. Which sign are you? Which door do you feel you're standing before? Write it down. Because when you name what you're going through, it will no longer keep you in silence. It will open. You've seen the door, and if you've chosen to walk through it, prepare yourself, because a sacred transition is about to begin. In the next part, we will do something holy. Activate your soul to step into the next chapter through a tangible act blessed by the universe. There are things you cannot change with logic. There are doors you cannot open with force. They only open when your soul vibrates at the right frequency. And now we will do just that. Not with a complicated ritual, not with a grand ceremony, only a moment in which you are fully present. I invite you to do this during the 3 days of July 1st to July 3rd. Find a quiet space, a piece of paper, and a bowl of warm water mixed with pure sea salt. Sit down. Place both hands over your heart and write, without editing, without control, what you want to attract into your life. Not what you think you should want, but what your heart truly longs for, even if you've never dared to name it. Write as if you were whispering to God or to the stars quietly watching you from the other side of the sky. Because what you write that day will not lie still on the paper. It will vibrate and knock on the door of your destiny at a frequency no words can ever reach. Write it, then fold the paper. Place your hands in the bowl of salt water, close your eyes, and whisper 3 times, I no longer carry what is old within me. I open myself to receive what is sacred, what I was born to receive. My door is now open. Then pour the bowl of water into the earth so that what you've released may return to Mother Earth, and what you've invited in may find its way to you through the flowing current of life. That night, before you sleep, read in your mind what you wrote. Not to control the outcome, but simply to remember, you've spoken a sacred word, and the universe never ignores a holy seed. If you do this, do it with your whole heart. No rushing, no doubting, no just testing, but as a solemn vow to the one who created you, that you are ready, that you are no longer running, that you no longer live in waiting. You are the one who activates your own destiny. You are the one who says, it is time. And when you say that, the entire universe falls silent to hear you take your next step. And if, after this ritual, something happens, a strange dream, a sudden lightness, a door that truly opens, come back and share it here. Not just to tell, but to plant belief for those who are still hesitating, standing before the door they've yet to enter. Right, I've done the ritual and I am ready to receive. Because the words you speak today may be the torch that lights someone's path tomorrow. And once you've truly done this ritual, prepare for the most unexpected thing. The universe may respond sooner than you think, because the door is no longer closed, because you have chosen to stand on the other side. And now, if you are still listening, it means your soul has heard what it came here to hear. Not with your ears, but from a place deeper, where words cannot reach. We've traveled far together, from the quiet signs that called your name in the night, to your arrival at the center of a shifting map of destiny. From the closing of old doors, full of loss, to the return of unfinished memories. From the door chosen for 3 particular zodiac signs, to the sacred ritual that marked your beginning. And now, I only want you to know one thing. Sagittarius, you are not a wandering soul without direction. You are a keeper of fire. You are someone who inspires through everything you've lived. You are someone who dares to step into the unknown, even when no one walks ahead to light the way. You don't live to please anyone. You live to illuminate what others are too afraid to face. You live to turn questions into action. You live to turn wounds into direction. In this universe, where millions of souls wait to be awakened, you are the answer. And if you ever thought you were just a solitary spark, today, you know, your light is not alone. It is resonating with something far greater. And what's coming cannot arrive without you. So say it to yourself, not with fear, but with certainty. I was born to step into this moment, and I no longer delay. This is no longer a forecast. This is a summons. And if your heart feels meaning in this, if you feel even the slightest spark of light, leave a comment below. Share this message with someone you love. Not just because they might need it, but because you never know who is standing at the edge of surrender and only needs one light to continue. You may be that light. You may be the reason someone doesn't give up today. Because light never knows all the places it touches, but it still chooses to shine. So please, do this simple thing with all your love. Share it, send it, let the light travel far. Because Sagittarius, you are not just a zodiac sign. You are a living journey, a rising mission, and a living reminder that when a soul is true enough, the universe becomes clear enough. May you step through the door now open, with all the light you've always carried within. And remember, the universe has never forgotten you. It has only been waiting for you to return to where you truly belong. And this time, you will not walk in alone. You will walk in with the strongest version of yourself.